Good morning, everyone. So this is Riji from Technopark Trivandrum. So thank you, Gladston sir, for the warm introduction and warm welcome. Myself and my colleague Srikanth will be handling today's session. So I hope that all of you can see the presentation. Can we get some comment in the comment box? Yeah, thank you, Rega ma'am. What we would like to do is we will start with our presentation, and in the meantime we will interact through the chat. If you have any quick queries, you can use the chat options to ask the questions. Maybe we will stop at some logical point and then answer some of the queries that comes through the chat box. And finally, this is going to be a 1 hour session, and we will be talking for the next 45 minutes. And after that, we will have a Q&A session for the last 15 minutes. So any questions that you post during this interaction will be answered at the end. So once again, a warm welcome. And we also congratulate Gladston sir for arranging this webinar and get a good participation. And we also thank you all for responding to the query that actually we posted a survey. And we got more than 100+ responses for the survey. So thank you so much for responding to the survey. And some of the survey results that we will be discussing in between our discussion today. So let me start with a very interesting question, maybe. Can you identify this person? Anyone? If you know the personality, you can unmute the mic and then say the answer, or you can use a chat option to type the name of this gentleman. I will wait for next 20 seconds, and if you can't identify the person in the next 20 seconds, I will give you one more clue. And in the current scenario, this person's identity is having some relevance. Okay, I know that it's hard. But someone who is actually following the latest news may have some knowledge about this person's identity. All right, so I will give you the first and the last clue. So if you follow Google Doodle, and this is the March 20th Google Doodle, and Google recognized this person's contributions on March 20th. He's a person who lived in the 19th century. Any idea? I think somebody in between started presenting. So let me resume the presentation. Yes, great. Shahira madam, it is Semmelweis. Okay. I have started getting more and more answers. All right, now, so let me switch to the presentation. So anybody joining right now, please don't click on the present button. So if you click on the present button, it goes to the presentation window. Okay, it is Dr. Ignaz Semmelweis. So why this person is so famous? Why he is known for? Any quick answer from Nikhil or Niti? Okay, actually Jisha Nair saying he is a. Can we say he's a father of hand washing? Maybe. Actually, the reason why this particular person is known, and he's the first person who actually introduced the hand washing as a procedure, especially in the medical, the healthcare process. So in the next few minutes, I would like to talk about his contribution. So the reason why we are talking about Ignaz's contributions in a data science class is this. So actually, he was a Hungarian, and then he completed his medicine and started working in a hospital in Vienna, that is Vienna General Hospital. And after some time, he realized that there are 2 clinics inside Vienna General Hospital, and it is labeled as Clinic 1 and Clinic 2, the first clinic or the second clinic. And then in the community, in the local community, people didn't like to go to the first clinic, only because of the fact that the more mortality is there in the first clinic. And for a layman, they don't see such statistic that is shown on the screen. But based on the mouth publicity or the experience of people who visited both the clinics, and the general opinion to the public that if you go to the first clinic, the chances of coming back is very less. So all prefer to go to the second clinic. And even people would like to have their delivery in the street, and they were so reluctant to go to the first clinic. And then the doctor, Semmelweis, actually wanted to check the reason behind that. And then he pulled out these statistics and then checked what was the problem with these two clinics. And then he went through the statistic that is shown on the screen, and it is taken from the Wikipedia page. You can go and refer this. And it is a data of 6 years from 1841 to 1846. You can see that the mortality rate of clinic 1 was close to 10%, and then the mortality rate of second clinic was close to 4%. And what was it? And he actually searched for all the details. He checked the facilities available in both the clinic, and then he even checked the religious practices that is followed in both the places. And then both the clinics were in the same compound, so climatic condition was not a major factor. And then he also considered the amount of people who visit the clinic, and then he realized that the people who visit the second clinic is more, but still the mortality rate is very low. He couldn't able to figure out the actual reason behind the high mortality rate in the first clinic. And later, a lot of research, he found one reason. And the reason was, in clinic 1, the people who work there actually are doctors. And in the second clinic, it was controlled by midwives, or the nurses that we call. And that was one only difference between the functionality of the two clinics. One is handled by doctors and one is handled by midwives. And what the difference between the doctors handling or midwives handling? The first hospital is just like, it was just like a medical college setup where doctors work in different departments. And he realized that doctors who conduct postmortem actually are working, and come after their postmortem, they come and work in the labor room and taking deliveries. And on the other side, these midwives are dedicated only for that job. And based on that, he come to know that there is a kind of fever that causes this mortality, and it is known as childbed fever or puerperal fever, that is given in the slide. And that puerperal fever or childbed fever was more in the case of those kids died in the early days. And then, how can he contribute to the problem solving of this kind of a thing? And then what he did was, in the chart, you can see that in 1847, he introduced hand washing as a process for all the doctors in the Vienna hospital. And after that, you can see in the graph that the mortality rate, altogether mortality rate came down to less than 4% after 1847. So the moral of the story, or anything that as a conclusion, but I would like to say that what this particular person, the Dr. Ignaz, had is some data, which is in the form of a tabular representation or a graphical representation. Irrespective of the nature in which the data is shown, he had some data. And what he did was, he figured out some meaningful insight from the data. So that was his contribution. So that data was available to many doctors there, but only Dr. Ignaz actually went into the data, or dive into the data, and tried to figure out some useful insight from them. And then that insight actually helped him to solve a very, very big crisis. So if you are interested in knowing the history behind that, what happened after that, and this happened around 200 years back, people did it, even the doctors didn't accept his finding. And even though he proved some of the things, like after introducing a lime kind of a hand washing procedure, and he could able to reduce the mortality rate, but even that was not accepted by people around him. And they called him as a mental person. And then he was actually admitted in a mental hospital later. And in 2 weeks time after admitting into the hospital, he was actually killed by manhandling. It was a very, very sad story for a person like him, but people started realizing his contribution after his death. And now in the corona scenario, and even people started recognizing his work. And that is one of the reasons why Google appreciated his effort by creating a doodle on March 20th. So let me use this particular sentence as a definition for data analytics. So when you look around, we see a lot of data. So as teachers, you get any number of data from our students. So what data that actually contribute to their degree is the marks or even some attendance that we take on a daily basis. But other than that, for a 4-year degree or a 3-year undergraduate program, and we have plenty of data regarding our students. But sometimes if you analyze this data in a proper manner, we could able to derive more insight about the individual's capability. I just hinted about one particular application that we all are familiar, but if you have data, if we have the right mindset to analyze the data, we could able to derive useful insight, and based on the useful insight, we could able to solve some of the difficult problems that we see around. So at this moment, I would like to define data analytics as deriving useful insight from raw data. So how the presentation goes is like that. We just define what is data analytics. And the next half, I would like to explore the why part of data analytics. So for that, let me drag your attention to another question. So this is a question that we asked you in the survey. Which are the most powerful nations in the world? And we actually got very interesting responses from you. So let me show you the statistics that we got from your responses. Around 161 responses suggested that United States is the most powerful nation. And we actually asked for 5 choices. No specific rank, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, nothing like that. We just ask you to share the names of 5 countries that you feel are powerful in the world. There is no criteria behind that. We just ask your opinion. And based on that, these are the top 3 plus 8 suggestions that came from your end. We can have US, UK, Germany, Japan, Russia, India, and China. These are the suggestions from your end. So next thing, so normally if you have a question, I don't know how many of you Google for this result. If you have Googled this for this, you might get something like this. So you can do it right now also. So if you Google for the most powerful nations in the world, you get the top 7 countries as from United States to Japan. I don't know the algorithm that works behind the Google search to fetch the names of these 7 countries. There might be some algorithm, there might be some criteria. So the criteria is unknown. It's only a Google search result. And another interesting, so what we did is out of curiosity, we did this exercise. And then out of curiosity, we asked this question to you also. And then come back to another interesting result. We actually have the 2020 Olympic scheduled in this July, but unfortunately this is rescheduled for at least 1 year. And this is a medal tally of last Summer Olympics 2016 in Brazil. So hope some of you remember the medal tally. The top 7 countries in the medal tally are United States, Great Britain, China, Russia, Germany, Japan, and France. Do you see any similarity? So let me have a combined result of the Google search of the most powerful nations in the world and the top medal getters in the last Summer Olympics. Exactly the same. Is it coincidence? I don't know. Okay. So look at the order may be different, but when you search for the most powerful nation in Google, it shows you a set of countries, and then you check the last Olympics top performers, and that shows the same nation's name. So what is the conclusion? So if you see any correlation between these 2 questions. So from this, what we can conclude that Olympics is not only a sporting event. Even though Olympics is a sporting event, for some of the countries, at least for some of the countries in the world, Olympics is not only a sporting event. It is a place where countries go perform and show that they are powerful. Not only in the sporting scenario, they are powerful in many other areas. So in that context, do you believe so some countries or any country in the world, or maybe a set of coaches or individuals try to do something out of the way to perform extraordinarily in Olympics? So this is a question. So you can respond by giving some responses in the chat. So Olympics is not only a sporting event. So it is a very prestigious event for most of the countries in the world. So some countries, they are good in Olympics and they wanted to be better than good. So they know that they are only good. So from good to better, they do anything out of the ordinary ways to perform extraordinary. You know any instances where countries or coaches or individuals did something out of the way to get some glory in Olympics? China started coaching early days. Of course, Srikanth sir is saying China started. We have seen plenty of videos in which these kids are trained for gymnastics at the early age to get flexibility in their body, and brutally these kids are trained. Of course, agree with you, Srikanth sir. And then any other stories that you are familiar with? The coaching at the early age is something, it's a process of their training, and we can consider this as the ordinary or the direct way of training. Okay, so I'm asking about some shortcuts or unethical way of doing something. Okay, he's again suggesting drugs. Okay, I'm coming to that. So I'm coming to the same thing called doping. So people, athletes, or even some countries actually motivate their athletes to use drugs, some banned substances to perform better. So we know that there are instances where countries, so you know that Russia is banned from current Olympics. So this year's Olympics, or even if it happens in the next year, Russia cannot able to participate. And they are also banned from the next Football World Cup, 2022 Football World Cup. The reason is, as a country, they didn't report some of the incidents related to doping that happened in their country. So now there are agencies like WADA, then the International Olympic Committee, and they are actually closely monitoring the usage of these banned substances or drugs in such kind of events. So it's very difficult, because before and after each event, so think that we have a triple jumper like Ranjit Maheshwari, he participates in one of the events and he has to undergo a urine and blood test just before the event and just after the event. So any kind of drug usage can easily be caught during these tests. So it's very difficult to do or perform extraordinarily by using some unethical way. So what would be the next thing? So anyway, these countries that we are suggesting or we are mentioning wanted to get glory in unethical way. They don't stop their trials. If not doping, if there are agencies to track the usage of banned substances, then what other methods these people will try to do? So if not doping, what is the next thing? Energy drinks. Okay, energy drinks is also the same thing. So if you consume something like that, that can be easily caught by the blood test as well as the urine test. So that is not going to be the solution. Anything? So thank you, Ruben sir, for any other thing. So let me rephrase the question in a slightly different way. So look at this. Any country is doing anything for 2044 Olympics today? So look at the question carefully. So I'm asking about a specific year Olympics, 2044, which is around 24 years down the line. So you should think, why should I mention 2044? Not 2048, not 2040 or 2036. You know that Olympics happens every 4 years. Okay? There are Olympics scheduled for 2032, 36, 40, but I'm not mentioning any of those. So I'm asking about a specific year, 2044. So the question is, today, now we are in 2020. In 2020, any country or any individual or anyone is doing any kind of practice or in preparing themselves or preparing their country for the 2044 Olympics? If yes, what that should be? What kind of preparation they are doing right now? So I need some responses from your end. So through this, we are going to justify the why part of data analytics. We define data analytics as from raw data deriving meaningful insight. And now we are looking for some answers why data analytics. So we are coming closer to the why part. So can I have some responses? Any country is doing any kind of preparation today for an Olympics which is scheduled in 2044 or 24 years down the line. Don't worry if it is right, there is no wrong answers. Is it placing a bet? It's not like bet, it's very concrete thing. So we are logically approaching for a solution. So anyone is preparing, it's all about preparation. Any kind of preparation happening now for our Olympics, that is 24 years down the line. So I will give you one more clue. So one clue is 2044. Okay, birth of child with health. Okay, Sindhu ma'am, actually that's a good guess. So I'm coming to that. So 24 years down the line. So why 24 years? So why I told 2044? The reason is, when you look at the average age of people who participate in Olympics, it is on an average it is 24. When you look at the athletes, we have young athletes participating, and in some events like chess, we have grandmasters who have over 40 years participating. When you take the average age of all the individuals who participate in Olympics, it is coming close to 24. So if somebody is participating at the age of 24 in an Olympics that is scheduled in 2044, what should be their age today? Okay, regiments are also suggesting. So actually their age should be 0, which means that they are yet to born. So are we doing something for these babies who are yet to born to perform well in some of the Olympic events? If something is there, if we are doing something on babies who are not yet born, then what should be that? So can we have some answer for that? So what kind of, yes, genetic mutation. So we are coming close to that. So this actually is not a guess. This is actually the responses given by some of the doctors. So some of the people who worked in the genetic engineering actually revealed that even in 2008, some of the popular or famous genetic engineers scientists are contacted by some of the famous coaches from leading countries. And their query was this: can you do anything on the gene to get better performances of our athletes? This was the question. So you know that genetic engineering or genome editing can be done, and if you edit if you can identify, so think that you wanted to have a better swimmer, you wanted to create a better swimmer, then you first of all you need to identify the genes that actually contributes to that feature or that quality called swimming. And then if you mute the gene, so if you can enable the editing in that gene, then you could able to create a generation, create an individual who can able to perform better in that particular field. So even though this is very easy to say, but to perform something like, so if you wanted to identify the gene, you cannot able to analyze only one person's genetical structure. So you have to do it for thousands and thousands of individuals, and then only you have to identify the correct gene composition for that. So here we are talking something about analyzing the data. Previously, in the case of Dr. Ignas, he had data of 2 hospitals, and he just analyzed some hundreds of data. But here we are talking about huge data, maybe millions of data to get a result. So the reason is, even though we started with a very negative example of doping or doing genome editing has got a positive side as well. When you look at the positive side, the genome editing, so when you look at the hereditary diseases just like hemophilia, and if you can identify the exact gene that causes that disease, and if you can edit that gene to a better thing, so that you can eliminate that individual's probability of having the disease inherited from his parents. So likewise, there is positive side as well. So even though I started with a story that actually contribute to some of the medical application, when you look around, you can have any number of such applications where if you have huge amount of data, when you analyze it properly, you could able to get better result. So here actually it uses in genome editing. Right now, when you look at the genome editing researches, it uses machine learning, and which is when you look at the machine learning procedures, its data science algorithms are used for machine learning. So here, if you analyze data properly, you could able to get better results. You can solve some of the existing problems that you see around. So coming to talk about the why part of data analytics, the one reason is you have any number of cases, unsolved problem can be solved when you analyze huge set of data. So when you look at the data that is being generated over the years from 2010 to a predicted value of 2025, in 2020 you can see that currently we have around 50 zettabyte of data, and that actually becomes 3 times in another 5 years. So likewise, when you look at the growth of data, the data will be huge. Most of the data should be unstructured. So you should have a lot of opportunity. When you look at the why data analytics part, there are huge opportunities for analyzing data and finding useful insight from the data. So this is one study by NASCOM, and their study shows that the top technologies by 2022, in the next 2 to 3 years, big data analytics, machine learning, you can see that machine learning in the top 3, big data analytics contribute to 85% of the new upcoming technologies. Machine learning contributes to 73% of the upcoming technologies. So the opportunities are very huge. So I covered the first 2 parts. We started with what is data analytics. It's nothing but getting useful insight from raw data. And the why part is data is everywhere. If you apply better data analytics, then you can solve any number of problems that you see around. So to explain the rest of the things, that how part, I am inviting Srikanth to taking over the session. So let me go out of the presentation mode so that Srikanth can come and present it from now onwards. Yes, Srikanth, so now you can present.
Fine, great. Thanks, Reggie. So I think I'm audible. Correct, Reggie?
Yes, Sri.
Yeah, fine. Thank
so
you.
Just share your screen and then.
Yeah. All right. So thanks, friends. Right. So again, thank you so much, Reggie. Right. As Reggie rightly mentioned, right, whether how to start. Right. So we just wanted to discuss about how. So if you are planning to achieve the data science skills, whether what all of the scenarios that has to be maintained, whether what all are the things that has to be planned, and everything can be discussed over here in this how part. So whenever if you are dealing with the environment, at this point in time, we could say that we'll have to have a life cycle. We'll have to identify a life cycle for the whole process, right? So whenever, if you are, if you wanted to deal with the raw data, right, all of us might have done some sort of analysis, right? There will be a process. Without knowingly or unknowingly, we might have gone through all the stages of it. It is none other than, right, we'll have to start with the requirement, right? The business understanding to data collection, to data cleaning, all those stages. So that much life cycle is important, even if you wanted to develop a model, right? So that is the first case we wanted to discuss in this how part, right? Next stages, next requirement is nothing but the highly required tools for data science, right? So the tools required for making this effort, right? So maybe fruitful, right? So that is the case we wanted to discuss. What are the tools, major tools which is available in the market now? All those things should be discussed. And what can be the skill at the outset? What kind of skills are required for the to plan effectively, to deploy a model, especially with the help of data science in the field of data science. So that is actually the plan for the discussion, right? So we'll start with the life cycle model, right? So again, as we rightly mentioned in the initial phase, it is none other than so business understanding is required. Business understanding, maybe we should have a minimum domain knowledge, especially in this to deal with this case, right? So the next case is data collection, right? So even if you are doing research, or if you are involved in some of the maybe kind of surveys and all, right? Data collection is going to be one of the stages in it, right? So then data preparation, right? Whatever may be the data that has been collected from the market or field, right? We can't assure that the cleanliness of the data, right? The requirement is none other than at this point in time we could say that we'll have to clean the data, right, before taking this into the process, right? So yeah, of course, yeah, maybe some missing values will be there, right? Some say maybe the categorization of variables may be sometimes required. All those parts may needs to be planned, right? In this case, data collection. So what about the next phase? It is data preparation. So data preparation is what we said right now. The next case is the exploratory analytics. Exploratory analytics is actually an insight. What all are the possible insights can be driven out of that particular existing data, right? Our requirement is none other than, if you wanted to create a model, the models should sustain forever, right? So if you are planning to develop a model, based on this insights we can develop a model, right? So that is the case. Then yeah, of course, after, based on the insights, we will go to the next phase. It is none other than modeling, right? Not only creation of model is our job, right? We'll have to evaluate the performance of the model also, right? So if you are comparing two algorithms and wanted to say that this is actually best or better performing, right? Especially in this data science field and all, we can't say that this algorithm will be suitable for your data. Again, that insight has to be driven based on the exploratory analytics, right? Again, modeling will be helpful for us to create a particular to evaluate the performance of maybe there will be facility to evaluate the performance of the model, right? So after model evaluation, we'll go for the deployment. Deployment can be, right? So yeah, it is in the form of an application, right? If you can suggest, there are chances to get a rain today, right? If your model is if your model is predicting something correct, right? Nothing like it, right? So in case if the prediction is wrong, there is actually an opportunity to learn from the data too, right? Let us assume that if our model predicted that some rain will be there today, but it was not there, it was not raining, right? In that case, we'll have to again rebuild our model based on the data input, right? So these are the stages of a data life cycle, right? So even if you are going a bit deeper into this, right? So here we, as we rightly asked in the beginning, what, why, how, everything should come here, right? Even whatever it may be the domain, right? Business understanding should be there, right? So the domain knowledge, whenever if you are dealing, entering into the data analytics or data science or applying data science techniques over a field, right? The requirement is none other than we'll have to have a business understanding, how much, which category, which group, kind of knowledge is required. Right. So that is the first stage. What is the second stage? It is data collection, a collection of required data. Right. So the required data, we can't assure that data can be collected from a single source. Right. So let us assume that what we recently, one of the works which we have done is none other than analysis of social media, right? Social media to identify that what is actually the trend of what is actually the people used to, what is actually the discussion topic which happens in the market, right? So in that case, we may have to collect the data from Facebook, Twitter, from various other social media sites, right? So everywhere we will have to club, right? Some databases also may be available, some websites also will be available. So we have to equip ourselves to collect the capacity to develop the data collection capacity will have to be there, right? So we'll have to have the capacity to collect it from the database, the website, social media, or anywhere, right? So that is the capacity which is required in this stage. What is actually all about data preparation? So cleanse and validate data, right? So yeah, of course, if it is actually a raw data, if we are talking about a raw data, right? Cleanliness of the data may be a big question, right? So it is our responsibility actually to clean the data, and we just wanted to prepare this as actually a clean data before taking or providing this as an input to the next phase, right? So transformation of data may be sometimes required, right? So maybe even conversion of data, right, to a certain extent without losing the meaning of that particular data. We have to do the transformation. Of course, again, this can be gathered from various sources, and one of the other responsibilities is none other than we will have to assure the effective storage of our data. So these are the cases we need to plan at this stage, right? In the fourth stage, right? So exploratory analytics, right? So we have to have a thorough knowledge. We have to have a thorough knowledge, especially on what variables we just wanted to exhibit, right? On what variables we will get the results, right? The required results from what variables can be derived, right? So the basic metrics can be developed. Missing value treatment is also right. So in case if you are plotting something, right? Missing values there, right? That can be identified from the plot itself. Then outlier treatment. If some NAs are there still in the data, that has to be addressed over there in the data preparation stage. But even though something can be here also during exploratory analytics itself, we can identify that some errors are there. So outlier also have to be addressed again. Of course, various researches are happening in this domain, saying whether we'll have to accept outliers or reject outliers. All those things are there, right? So it is again based on our requirement. Again, based on the data, available data, we can make a great plan. So that is actually the exploratory analytics stage, right? What is the fifth stage? Fifth stage is data modeling. Build the model based on your analysis. Our model based on the previous years of temperature and maybe the other details, right? Maybe the other moisture details and everything. If your model is able to predict, there is actually a chance of having rain, right? So that can be identified, and based on the data set, we can develop model, we can train the model, and we can develop further. So this is actually the part of having a data modeling stage, right? So next phase is model evaluation, right? Not only deployment or developing the model is our responsibility. We have to plan to assure the evaluation, right? Performance of your model. It is none other than, right, if it is actually once we have developed a model and we could see that it is actually in between 70 to 100% or 90%, right, can be accepted as a good model, right? So we can do something great works, great works to you can do something great to improve the performance of the model by fine tuning it, right? Sometimes a variable level maybe variable, we may have to go through the previous stages and we may have to redesign the whole process to fine tune. That is actually up to us to decide at that point in time, based on the requirement based on the inputs required for the new model. We may have to plan accordingly this, right? So this is the model evaluation plan. The last stage is model deployment, as we rightly said. This is actually based on how far we are able to train or check the model, right? So again, that should be available as an application over there in the society. Then probably that can be checked, right? So these are the stages where the data life cycle stages, right? So again, as based on the data, right? This was actually even we have shared a survey form among you all, right? As Reggie rightly mentioned, see, many of your 100 plus students who have submitted participants who have submitted the form, right? So let us make a survey, make a base analysis based on this, right? This is data collection stage. We have used what actually it is none other than it is actually a Google form, right? So what is the next stage? Next stage can be data preparation. So this was actually the structure of the data. Of course, specifically as of now, we have removed the email ID and names of everybody. As of now, what we have in our data set is none other than residing state, department. Why do you wanted to join this course? Then country, most powerful country, country 1, country 2, likewise, right? This is actually the data. Data what we have, right? I'm just moving to one of the tools again. Initially we can start with an Excel over here, right? I'm just opening. Let me take the Excel screen, right? I think any one of you can give me an update. I think the screen is visible, right?
Yes, Srikanth, visible.
Fine. Thank you so much. Right. So again, what is actually this case, right? Residing state was actually the first category which we had. The next one, it is actually all about say department. Then why do you wanted to join the? This was actually the data set format, right? As Reggie mentioned, right? We got around some 103 right form submission through all of you, right?
We can't see the screen.
You're able to see the screen, right, sir?
Not able to. Not able.
No, Srikanth, just present it again.
Okay, 1 second. Is it Reggie now?
Now it is visible. Okay, go ahead, Sri.
It is visible, right? Yeah, fine. Thank you. So what is actually the first column, right? Now the basic technique at this point in time, what we can apply is none other than it is actually filtering the data, right? So we have applied the filtering technique over there in the first row, right? Now let us see that how many states are there, right? How many participants are there from various states, right? The easiest way is none other than it is actually, and now we are discussing about the data preparation stage, right? So maybe the data pre-processing stage. What is actually the residing state data? All says, right? See, Alapura, Karur, right? Tamil Nadu, right? So Vallakadavu, right? Wrongly entered all those data without reading exactly what the question, right? Maybe this can be the kind of mistakes, or probably if the end application does not have the proper validation mechanisms, right? This will be the problem, will be there probably in the data collection, right? The major problem at this thing is, as of now, we'll have to identify how many Alapuras are there, right? Oh, great, right? Only one Alapura is here. Our responsibility, yeah, it is none other than we'll have to change this into, the whole case, right? Again, now Alapura is not there, right? What is next case? We wanted to identify how many Karur. Yeah, again, it is actually, you know, that it is in Tamil Nadu, right? It is in Tamil Nadu. We have changed the same, right? What is next? Next case, next stage is let us see what is the next. Now the Vallakadavu is also there. Vallakadavu, right? If it is right, I am changing this as Kerala, the state Kerala, right? Now what is actually, now we have Karnataka, Kerala, right? Tamil Nadu and Tamil Nadu, right? Both are there. So we'll plan to replace this as Tamil Nadu, right? So this is actually the case. Now the responsibility is none other than we have to change this as maybe, right, like this. Yeah. So into our requirement is none other than we have to change this into a single category like this. Now, if you are identifying, right, and if you are checking this, right, so you can see that we have only 3 states, right? This was actually, we have participants from 3 states for the webinar, right? This is the kind of knowledge, or maybe a mapping requirement what we have, right? So as of now, what I have done is none other than maybe pre-processing. So you just think, right? So now we are happy with we have all the states in a specific order. It is actually Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, and Kerala. Right. Let us take another example over here. Right. If you are selecting the departments of the faculties, right? So in this case, we can see BCA, BSc Chemistry, Computer Application, every likewise it is here. Right. So again, if you are moving, blank is also here, blank, right? So somebody who haven't provided the details, right? Let us click on blank at this moment, right? Our requirement here, we'll have to apply some basic statistical skills to identify, right? So deleting a row is actually the last option. If data is not there, deleting or removing that particular row is the last option. But our requirement is none other than, if it is possible, we'll have to identify this person, or maybe from which department. If you think that department is going to make actually a good role, especially in your analysis, right? So in this case, only one hint which is available now, it is none other than he's from Tamil Nadu, right? And his expectation is actually to join, maybe learn about data science and all. His or her expectation, right? So the other we won't get any possible threats, especially from the remaining data, as well as if you are considering this data, right? If see, another method is actually, so if so what we can do if you wanted to fill this blank data, right? So let us now we can select everybody, right? Let us filter the people, those who are the participants, those who are only from Tamil Nadu, right? Now you can see that. Now you can see that. Yeah, it is this is actually Tamil Nadu, right? So yeah, of course, departments are how many departments are there from Tamil Nadu? Now you can see that computer application and computer applications are there, right? The computer science is there. Computer science to know about digital sciences, information technology, MCA department, PG computer science, physics, and again blank. Blank is actually what we have seen earlier, right? So in this case, right, our requirement is maybe we may have to computer applications, right? We may have to convert this as computer applications. So that part we have addressed. Even if you wanted to see the remaining computer application, we can make it as a general form. Right now, everything is computer applications, right? So what is the next stage? Next stage is computer applications are there. Yeah, see the computer science and end up with some other characters to know about something, right? So that has to be removed, right? Now we can say that it is actually computer science, right? One more computer applications has to be generalized. So kind of works, right? Kind of works may have to be applied, right? What is actually now computer science, digital sciences, information technology, PG computer science, right? PG computer science can be computer science itself, right? PG computer science, right? So what we are going to do is, right, we are going to the PG computer science only we wanted to list. It can be from computer science. So this is again, if otherwise that will be remains as a separate category here. And so what we have here is, right, we have computer applications, computer science, digital, right? Now what we can do is, so now we are selecting everybody, right? Yeah, right. So we can apply some maybe some basic operations in Excel as a count if what, right? The total range we can count, right? What is the category? Category can be computer science, right? See. Why we are doing here is it is none other than, see, now we can see that we have around because again it is actually less in number, but even the computer science is highlighting everywhere. So I have make a count of this, and majority, if you are applying the same, right, even if instead of computer science, if you wanted to see computer applications, right, say computer applications. So this is just 7 only, right? So the other cases are, again, it will be less only, because this much of data set if you are considering. One way at this point in time is none other than, based on the majority of listed items, right? Listed items, what we can do is we can replace this with computer science, right? Another way is, let us assume that we had actually age of the participants, right? We would have been a facility actually to make an analysis based on age, right? Even if a designation also was there, right? If a person who is having maybe some 20 plus experience, right, then he is actually maybe into the professor category. Again, we are addressing the faculty fraternity, right? So into this category, then probably we can make another level of grouping at this stage with by considering age, maybe designation, all those things, right? So again, friends, one of the major troubles at this moment in time is none other than, this is actually possible even if it is actually maybe 1,000, 10,000 or something like that. Again, the cases, because you know that we are working with Excel, right? Say another case is actually here. What is actually this? Why do you wanted to why do you wanted to join this webinar? If you wanted to make to identify a trend of requirement, requirements, right? So it is impossible sometimes because as of now it is possible because only 100 rows. But in case of huge amount of data is there, it is impossible actually for us to to read all this data and identify something, right? The initial case was actually see now you can, if you are taking the first country level, right? Reggie actually come up with a bar plot, right? This much of counts were there for every country, right? Now you can see this much of reprocessing he have applied to make that particular chart. Now you can see that data is, says America is here, right? Now you can see that USA is here, right? So United States is here. This kind of all data or maybe cell value, maybe that has to be converted as USA, right? Kind of pre-processing may have to be applied, right? So that is the kind of requirement what we have. Let us take an example of this cell. What people normally says, right? Let me take all the data, right? Department, sorry, one thing is actually Hall district, right? So now we are taking the whole data over here. So it is actually reading is actually fine, but even though it is impossible for us, right? Even while we are developing a model, we can't assure any kind of manual interventions in between, right? So if you wanted to identify the trend of the requirement, trend of this requirement, right? So if I'm just going to the next level, right? Sometimes it is impossible for us to identify a trend, right? As we rightly said, how we are going to deal how, right? First case is data life cycle. The second stage is second requirement is none other than we can go with some of the tools or languages for data science and analytics, right? Now you can see that Excel is here. What we have done, a minimal requirement, we met the minimal requirements with the help of Excel, right? So of course, programming languages are here, Python, right? R, right? So another frameworks are there like Flink, Mayhut, Spark. Hadoop is actually one of the basic file structures, right? So clicks and SAS, everything kind of tools can be used for the perfect data analysis, right? I'm just taking to identify a trend, right? We have written some maybe some basic 10 or 15 line code over here in Python. This is actually a Python spider environment. What I'm going to do here is, right? So we have a data set, right? The same data set we have, right? What I'm doing is, right, to say we can see that we read, right? To see if you are not comfortable with Python, don't worry. I'm just explaining the logic, not the programming language, right? If it is essential, probably it is not a big deal, right? Probably all of us can learn Python, right? So what is this? This is actually the data set. I'm reading that data set. That data set in the sense this, of course, our this data set we are going to read, right? Webinar survey. So now you can take this over here in the Explorer, right? The same data is available here. Same data, right? Same data set is available. What we are going to do is we are going to read this into another variable, the only location, the second data we wanted, right? We just wanted to have make a trend, right? Trend analysis is only on why do you wanted to join this program. That is the only case we wanted to address, right? This was actually the requirement. So we have extracted that column only from that data set. Then we are converting this into, normally this will be available as a maybe data frame, right? So we are converting this as a this will be at this point in time, this will be available as a series of object, right? And now we are converting this into as a string, right? To string, what we have done as a string, we have converted this as a string, right? Let me see. String is here. Okay, So what is next? What is next is actually we are created a word cloud. We are planning to create a word cloud here. What word cloud says is, right? Say we are creating an array of images. Cloud.png. We have already saved an image over here, which is actually called as maybe cloud.png. Our requirement is, in this format we are just going to create a word cloud, right? So what is next? The stop words, maximum words is actually 200. Mask the array, then stop words, right? In the English language we have different stop words. In case if you wanted to avoid that, that can be removed, right? At the outset, then we are the results will be printed to wordcloud.png. That is the requirement. So we are keeping live this function as of now. Now what we are going to do is we are converting this into the lowercase, and x is equal to create word cloud. We are just going to call this word cloud here, right? So let us try to run. Once we have created this, whenever we are calling this function, it will write something to this file, right, called as wordcloud.png. Let us try to open this wordcloud.png now, right? If you are opening this, right, now you can see that this is the case. This is the file. The basic trend, right? Even if you are leaving the most highlighted data cases, like data science, right? So somebody is there actually for analytics. But even though while analyzing the whole data set, we can have a great learning from the data. Maybe the whole column is none other than people are here to develop their knowledge, right? Develop their knowledge. So this kind of trend, right? Maybe from within fraction of seconds, this kind of trends are available, right? Don't worry much on that case, right? Especially on our the coding part, right? So what we are coming to say is, which is actually possible, which is actually made possible with maybe some few lines of codes, right? So this was actually that the output we have received, right, as a code, right? So that is the case here. Again, if you are the tools, with the help of tools, we can deal with a huge amount of data. That is the basic advantage, right? To address the last portion, skill set, right? How we have addressing in this three manner. One was actually data lifecycle. Second one is tools, and this is actually a skill set. What are the skill set? See, we have gone through a process, right? Now you would have been understood that for data processing, pre-processing, we have applied kind of a statistic analysis over here. Sometimes it is mean, median, mode, or something like that. Apart from basic requirements are there, right? So programming languages, right? So we have applied some programming languages to automate this, right? So we had an opportunity to have a business knowledge, right? On which data we are applying this. That learning also should have been there, right? At this point in time, friends, we could say that this is actually a pure mix is data science. What Reggie mentioned about machine learning, software development, traditional research, and everything comes here. So if you wanted to be here, right, this kind of skills needs to be developed for the to move ahead, right? So this is actually from my part, right? So yeah, Reggie, I'm just moving back. So yeah, Reggie, probably if you can hear me.
Yes, Srikanth, I can hear you.
Yeah, right. So we can explain that case study, case in that case, right?
Okay, thank you, Srikanth, for the detailed explanation. So what we did in the last case study, without you knowing, we collected some data as in the form of a survey, and then we used that data set to take you through the complete life cycle of data science. So you have seen how data is being collected to then the exploratory analytics, and even we haven't created any model out of this, but some of the stages of data analytics is actually we guided you through the data life cycle based on the data collected. So what we want to do, so in the day 2, we would be discussing on the machine learning part. Then we will be discussing on classification clustering techniques, and then we will also discuss about the tools that you can use to teach the students how machine learning easily, and then some of the applications of machine learning. So this is going to be the day 2 agenda. So we actually wanted you to do something based on what we discussed today. So we will connect you to a case study, and we know that some of you, so when we went through your expectations, we know that some of you are actually working on doing research on data science and analytics, and some of you actually wanted to know what is data science. I'm not presenting anything. I'm talking. I will present it later. And so whatever maybe your stage, whether you are a beginner, whether you have done something on data analytics, you can do this exercise. The second case is on, so let me share your screen. We want you to do some analysis, like we will take you to a website. One second, I'm proceeding. Are you able to see this screen website? So I will also share the web link in the chat so that you can also refer this. Okay, so if you want, you can refer this site. So this is Kerala. Actually, this is the donor website maintained by Kerala Network for Organ Sharing. So hope you heard about Brother Sanjeevani. That is the most popular term. And if somebody wants an organ, and then if you want to donate as well as to accept an organ, you have to register. There's a priority list in this case, so you cannot get an organ immediately. So if you wanted to get an organ, then you have to register in the Sanjeevani database, and then based on priority, you will get the organ when it is available. This actually has got some useful data. So you can see in this, you can see the different organs that is donated in Kerala: heart, lungs, liver, kidney, all the different organs. And then we have years starting from 2012 to 2020. And also we do have one row specifically for donors from Kerala. And then all of the, that is one data. And then you have the total number of data. So actually this is a table, just like Dr. Ignas got some data. So we are giving you some data. Coincidentally, it is also some medical data. So what you have to do is you have to do some exploratory analysis on this. So you have the data. Right now the data is in the website. Okay. So if you know how to scroll data from the website, do it. So if you are not comfortable, if you don't know how to get the data from the website, so we will give you data in an Excel sheet as well. It is in a Excel or a CSV format. So we will give both the data in both the forms. So if you have some expertise in data scrolling, don't take the data from the CSV file, take it, use the data scrolling technique and read the data. And if you are a beginner, and then take the data directly from Excel. You can use any tool. And if you're comfortable in doing the analysis in Python, do it. And if you wanted to do some analysis using basic Excel, like you take this, and then if you wanted to plot, go to the insert recommended chart. So it is not, we are not actually testing your skills on any specific tools. Actually, we want you to analyze the data. That is the crux of this case study that we are giving. Analyze this data and try to come up with meaningful insight. Okay. So insights means it should be real insight. Just like in the case of Ignas, actually he solved a problem. Okay, he identified the root cause of that particular problem and solved the problem. So likewise, you try to identify some of the hidden things inside this. One of the skills, as Srikanth mentioned to you about some of the skills that a data scientist should have, or a data analyst should have. So likewise, one of the skills that any person who do data analysis should have is try to see something that others don't see. Okay, we are giving the same set of data, same Excel file to all of you, but if you can see something that some of the others don't see, then you should be different from others. So it is just like Sethu Iyer becomes a very popular movie character by seeing something that others don't see. Okay? But likewise, if you should have some investigative mind when you do some data analytics. So likewise, try to see something, some hidden things inside this. So it is nothing but some data from 2012 to 2020 or different organs. But if you do some analysis with some investigative mind, you would definitely get some meaningful insights. What we need is you have to come up with those insights, share the insights in the form of visualization, whether it is a graph or any other kind of visualization, or any insights you just note down and share. Any way of share, the method of the manner in which you share the result is irrelevant, but the expectation is to come up with meaningful insights. So if you have any doubt on the problem statement, please clarify it right now. We will give you another 2 minutes for that. So we will be winding up the session in another 5 minutes. So 2 minutes for any queries on the problem statement we have given. And then the forum is also open for discussion. And if you have any queries related to anything that we discussed so far, you can either unmute the mic and ask. Otherwise, you can you shoot the questions through the chat box. Srikanth, I think can you explain how to submit the results? That part, can you explain?
Yeah, sure, Raji. Right. So we will be after completing this, we will be sharing. Yeah, 1 second. Yeah, can you just stop sharing? Okay.
I did.
Yeah, is it visible? Yeah. Okay. So Raji, what is our plan is actually we have created a Telegram channel for all. Right. Probably after completing this session, within 1 to 2 hours, all of us will get a mail. Right. So please join that Telegram channel. What is our requirement is none other than we will have to enable the peer learning. So whatever may be the results which you are getting, right, you can just post the results over there. Right. So please post everything, the results, either it is in the tabular format or it is actually as a visual, right? So please post everything there in that particular channel, right? Before coming for the next session. Probably we can also have, as Raji rightly mentioned, we can also have a conclusion, probably maybe conclusion of that particular maybe case study during the next session, right? Based on your ideas, based on the insights can be driven out of it. Please post your the results over there in that Telegram channel. That needs to be, right, everything, as sir was also mentioning the same thing. What we can do is we can we will be sharing all the links, YouTube link, right? So the next level is our maybe the link to the data set, everything will be shared there, right? So please join that Telegram channel, right, for at least for 2 days, right? So that is the plan, Raji. Is that right?
Yes, Srikanth. So now the forum is open for questions. So we are ready to answer whatever queries that you have.
Okay, kindly ask your questions at the earliest, right? Yeah. So there is a question right on the chat post. How to identify which technique is best for the problem?
Okay.
So
that's what
the answer is lengthy. Okay, you can postpone to next day, I think. Otherwise, you can.
Okay. No, it is very simple, sir. It is actually, based on the data set, we can't say that this is actually the best model. We will have to apply all the techniques, and based on the performance of every model, we may have to identify that this can be useful for this data set. This can be best for this data set. That's all.
Okay. Then if the data is available is very less, what technique can be used for data preparation? data preparation, right?
Yeah, see, yeah, any methods, right? As of now, what we did is none other than Excel, right? To start with our basic data analysis. Then we have identified that so for analyzing the text, it is always better to go for a programming language, right? The skill what we needed is none other than we'll have to develop ourselves as an enabler for handling all the situation, either if it is big data or it is very less in amount.
And what is meant by
Is that
cleaning
clear?
of data? Somebody asked about. Sunu asked about cleaning, data cleaning.
Yeah,
Okay.
data cleaning. Yeah, Raji, please.
So let me take it from the example that we did. Srikanth mentioned that. So we asked about you to share the names of 5 countries. So some of you shared it as America, some of you shared it as United States, United States of America, and actually we got America in 7 to 8 different forms. So finally, I came up with a conclusion that 167 entries are on America. So what we did is actually we took one name and replaced every synonyms like any any America different names into a single name. So actually that is part of one kind of a data cleaning. And then Srikanth also mentioned about missing values. So think that some of you fail or didn't do any submission for your designation. We don't have your designation field. But for a proper analysis, we need designation as a mandatory field. So how can we do that? So think that among 200 submissions, we have 10 submissions without departments or designation. So one thing that we can do is simply eliminate the non-submissions. So think that 10 entries without departments can be eliminated and do the analysis with the rest 190 data. So that is not a good practice. So what we have to do is to fill the missing values, the blank or missing values with some meaningful entries. So one particular option is to go with the maximum entries. So think that most of you are from computer science and engineering, that is the department you belong. So replace the blank entries with computer science and engineering. So think that it doesn't cause any problem for the entire structure or the entire structure of your data. So likewise,
can you compare data mining and analysis? That is another question.
Yeah, data mining, we could say that, sir, this is actually, it is the total umbrella comes under data mining. So data mining, data collection, data pre-processing, everything should be there in the model building, everything should be there. Right. So the other cases actually data analysis is actually useful for make an insight on top of current data or over a possible available data. That's all.
Srikanth, one thing I want to interfere. Actually, many questions are posting in the chat box itself, and we are running short of time. I think probably we can cut short the session right now itself, because now time is 12:40, and you address those questions in the next day beginning itself. That may be good. Otherwise, many people may have to leave, right? Because they
otherwise we will support through the channel also, sir.
Good. Okay, the other unanswered questions, kindly do that through the channel so that they may be able to answer it. I am damn sure that this session, the sessions handled by both, thrown some lights into research in computer science as well as in data analytics and data science. No doubt about that, right? The kind of questions posed by the participants, as well as the kind of interaction happened, and also the number of participants remaining at least late by 12:40, which shows that the sessions handled by both made and print on the minds of the participants. But anyway, we will continue the discussion. Hope we can learn many things through this kind of interactions. And thank you so much for the nice presentation made by both Mr. Rijan and Dr. Srikanth. And as around 75 plus participants attended today's sessions. Anyway, the recorded session will be available in the YouTube channel. And after that, next session, we can start sharp at 11 a.m. day after tomorrow. Please join with us. That is the concluding remarks which I am planning to make. Thank you so much for the nice participation extended by the participants too. You do that whatever direction made through the Telegram channel. Post your questions. They will interact. No doubt about it. You will get definitely you will get an answer to those questions. Otherwise, they are ready to share their own experience through their email IDs too. Okay, use those opportunities. That is the only one thing okay we can do at this juncture of time. But anyway, time is 12:40. I am finding up. Thanking you. Thanks a lot from our part, Government College Nedumangad as well as ICT Academy of Kerala. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Welcome.